All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell, coming to you on a Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And give a big shout out to all our American friends and family and all the viewers and people that tune into our show. I hope you had a really good holiday and got to watch some basketball. There was, I think, 9 games on the basketball slate today. Ton of early games, and I got to see a little bit of highlights and some scores. But man, I wish I was off and got to enjoy it. We don't have a holiday here north of the border, so it was back to work, unfortunately, and that's the way it goes. But anyway, hey, Jason Cameron joining us as always to break down the weekend of sports. A busy weekend, and we're gonna have some fun tonight, aren't we?
Yes, we're going to have a lot of fun. There was a lot of sports on this weekend for the new year. Another UFC that's on. That's finally the first one of the new year, which was not bad. It's not bad.
Pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, well, we had Super Wildcard weekend. UFC returns after a 1 month hiatus. NBA, as I said, this is the closeout of Week 13, heading into Week 14. Tons of games today, and man, that must have been fun to check them out. We'll break those down in a little while. It was great. I had a nice weekend myself personally. My dad came to visit. He's flying down to Puerto Vallarta on Sunday, so he came and we had a chance to watch some football together. We watched some UFC and had some great food and hung out. We had a really good time, and it's always nice to get a visit with my dad. So yeah, and I think he's going to get some great weather down in Puerto Vallarta. So I'm happy he's heading off on his vacation.
Yeah, I'm a little bit jealous, but also too, I hope he's not flying with that one airline. What's that one? That's garbage. Sunwing. Hopefully he's not doing that because they'll just leave you there, and then you'll never get back. You'll never.
Yeah, luckily he's with WestJet and didn't have to deal with any of that stuff. Yeah, they've had horrible experiences. I hear 33,000 complaints for how long is that going to take to go through? Just even going through the complaints, seeing what the people were complaining about, and man, yeah, it was a nightmare over the holidays there, but I think it's calmed down a bit finally.
No, I think so too, and also too, like, hey, he's with a reputable airline. They're going to get him there and get him home. It's going to be awesome. He's going to have a great time, and again, he's going to actually experience sun, something that we're not going to see for quite some time.
Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah. It sounds like they're going to have weather in the high 20s the whole time they're down there. So yeah, I'm happy for him. Yeah, as I said, great weekend of sports. Unfortunately, we got some bad news yesterday. A local legend, Canucks, longtime player Gino Odjick passed away. Great guy. Loved talking to Gino. Loved watching him play. He brought an energy to the old Pacific Coliseum and Rogers Arena when he was playing there. He had such a great presence, was the best teammate most guys ever had. Never hear a bad word about Gino Odjick. And unfortunately, he's had a lot of health issues over the past while. Finally succumbed to some heart troubles over the weekend and passed away at 52. Tons of local tributes to him. And oh man, I just love that guy. He was just always fun to be around, and it's a major loss missing him.
Yeah, it's a loss to the Canucks family for sure. Ultimate tough guy, ultimate competitor, ultimate teammate. You know what I mean? Like he exemplified all of those things. He'll be sorely missed. I do want to say one thing though. I met him briefly one time. One time. That dude had the biggest hands I think I've ever seen in my life. His mitts were they were enormous, giant.
I know they were the biggest mitts you ever did see. I know it was always shocking to see them. I reached out to our friend Vesa right away when I heard the news, and he did a story on him for their local sports paper. He got some quotes from one of Gino's former teammates, Jyrki Lume, and we had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with Gino off the ice, after games and stuff, and he was always just so fun to be around. We had a lot of laughs, a lot of good times. He was always championing, trying to get Pavel Bure into the Hockey Hall of Fame. And it was an amazing friendship that was so unusual because this is the Russian Rocket from USSR comes over. This is a native guy from Quebec that's playing with the Canucks, and these two guys were two peas in the pod the whole entire time they were here. And he just kept bugging us. Let's get Pavel in the Hall of Fame. Let's get Pavel in the Hall of Fame. So we talked to who we could talk to regarding the voting, and finally he got his wish. And I've never seen such a big smile on Gino's face the day he was there when Pavel got inducted, and all the partying and fun that they had around that. It was super special, and memories that I'm going to cherish forever.
Yeah, exceptional memories, right? And it was fantastic that he got his buddy into the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I think he would have got there anyways without him championing the cause, but the fact that he was willing to do that, I'm sure that was very near and dear to Bure's heart.
Yeah. And Gino, as I said earlier, just brought electricity to the rink. We haven't seen that. I've been to Canuck games recently, and it just felt like a morgue in there. No fun, really not, electric atmosphere at all. Every time you saw Gino jump onto this ice, you knew something big was going to happen. And Canucks are sorely missing something like that. And it's just not the same without guys like him in the game, just backing up those teammates. Pavel Bure was always knew he could go into the corners and not worry about a guy taking him out, because Gino would be there to take that guy out if he did. So it gave that protection. Just awesome teammates. And yeah, it's a lost art in the game of hockey, and it's too bad to see so many of these guys not in the game anymore. But the memories I have of him are just enormous. And I reached out to so many people yesterday and let them know the news, and I just got a lot of like, wow, what a great guy, and wow, he's going to be missed, and just a lot of amazing messages about him.
Yeah, and going back on what you were saying before about the fact that Pavel could go in those corners and dig out the puck is because nobody wanted to get hit with those ham hocks that you would call fists from Gino Odjick, right? Yeah. Because that dude was one of the best fighters, period, in the NHL at that time. Yeah. And he'd mess you up real bad. He hurt his buddy.
Yeah, and he was an inspiration to all the Indigenous kids all over Canada. Ethan Bear plays for the Canucks now. He's an Indigenous player, and he scored. He scored right around the time that they gave us time of death of Gino. He said he kind of feels like he grabbed his stick and helped to put it in the net. He wasn't aware of him passing until the end of the game, and he was very emotional about it. He said that he was such a hero to him and all his friends and all the Native kids around Canada, and he would go and talk to these kids and say, set yourself a goal, get passionate about something, and there's nothing you can't achieve. And he was a shining example for a lot of them.
Yeah, he was an example. He was a role model. He was the light to show the way. Like, you can do this. You can do this as an Indigenous person. You can make it to the highest levels of hockey. I've done it. Now know that you can do it as well.
Yeah, it was amazing. Sticking with the Canucks, they're having a tough go. They lost the first four on the road trip. They won yesterday in a shootout, but big drama around the team right now. A lot of really strange stories coming out. It looks like Bruce Boudreau, the coach, is on his way out. They're talking about Rick Tocchet taking over. Boudreau came in last year, and they had that chant, Bruce, there it is, Bruce, there it is. And just reignited a fire in the Canucks last year. They went on and had a great end to the season, a winning record. And this year it hasn't translated because they have a lot of the deficiencies on their team. But it's too bad that this sort of cloud's hanging over this team locally here. I love Rick Tocchet, but Bruce Boudreau, to me, has done a great job, and he's well respected from the players, and it's just another revolving door here that's just very frustrating to watch.
It is frustrating because at some point in time, they're just going to have to make a decision and stick with their head coach and let him work. Yeah. Because, like the revolving door thing, well, then that doesn't work because you have no continuity. Because all of a sudden another coach comes in with a different perspective and a different formula for success, as opposed to the guy that was in there before, or the guy was in there before that. Then, like it just sends mixed messages to the team because, again, like I said, you don't have any continuity. Yeah. They'll have to make a decision going forward, like saying, okay, we're going to give this head coach not a year or two. We're going to give him 3 years to see if he can figure this out.
I wish they would, but yeah, those rumors are persisting. It sounds like it's inevitable, but yeah, you never know the way the Canucks run their team. It's just not that great of a operation. Hasn't been for a long time, so we'll see how it pans out. Speaking of coaches, Sean Payton is big time rumored to be heading back to the NFL after sitting on the sidelines for a year and being an analyst. He interviewed for the Houston Texans job today. Will be interviewing for the Carolina Panthers head job. They got permission from the Saints. A few other teams are showing a ton of interest, and good to see him back in the league. I think he's a great coach, and I hope he goes somewhere that he's able to put his stamp on the team and bring it back to something where they can be proud of the franchise.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a coach who can do all of that. But again, for him, he has to look at what's the best situation for him. I don't know if I would even touch the Texans. I'm going to be honest. I would interview for the job knowing that I'm not taking the job because I'm like, you know what? I don't even think he'd give me the correct amount of time I'd need to fix all of that because there's so much to fix. There's just so much. So I don't know if he would even want to take that on. I think he wants to go somewhere where he goes, okay, I got certain elements here. Work with this. I can work with this. I can do this. I can make this work. Or another, I think, destination that he could actually seriously be considering would be the Broncos, because he's used to working with a smaller quarterback, a quarterback that needs to see a pocket or needs the pocket to move so he can see his receivers. That could be somewhere where he could go because already Broncos have a defense that's stud defense. So at least he doesn't have to worry about that side of the ball. So,
yeah, my dad was saying that was a great destination for him because what he did with Drew Brees as a smaller quarterback and was able to have all that success, win a Super Bowl there. Maybe he can work his magic and get that done for Russell Wilson and the Broncos, and we'll see. Yeah, there's lots of openings, but he's doing I guess he's doing the complete tour. And we'll see how he pans out. Also doing a tour was Nathan Rourke, the BC Lions quarterback. And now he is a Jacksonville Jaguar. Quite surprising. There seem to be other places where I thought would be a better fit for him, maybe an opportunity at that number one job. But obviously, definitely a number two in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence there. But I haven't seen the financial details come out quite yet with this, but I think he worked out for about 13 teams, and Jacksonville was the one that ended up signing him.
I'm a little bit surprised at that as well, that he ended up going with Jacksonville, because there's many other teams out there that need a quarterback, need a starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. And maybe he went for like the insurance of I'm going to be the second string. This is guaranteed money and all of that sort of stuff that will go into contract negotiation talks. So maybe that's what he was looking at and saying, well, this is guaranteed. So I'm going to take this, as opposed to taking a risk somewhere else and then maybe not having the guaranteed money locked into those contracts.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we'll have to see. I'd love to hear why he made that decision, but glad for him that even though he had a really tough injury that knocked him out for half the season, his great first half of the season and the ending was enough to get him opportunities down there. I guess he showed enough for teams to sign him, and good luck for him. Minimum contract net right now in the NFL is $750,000. So you're making a lot more than CFL money, even though you're holding a clipboard. And we've seen so many quarterbacks go down with injury. You just never know if Trevor Lawrence is gonna stay healthy or not, and he might get a chance there even.
Yeah. He might get a chance. He might get some looks. You never wish for anybody's injury, but it's the National Football League. It could happen. So I guess we'll see.
Arizona Cardinals named Monty Ossenfort their general manager today. He leaves the Tennessee Titans. He was their director of player personnel the last 3 years. He spent 15 seasons in New England before that in various roles, and good hire on their part. We'll see what he does to hire a coach after they had to get rid of their guy and move on forward. We'll see if Kyler Murray can come back at the beginning of next year. There's rumors that he won't be ready at the start of training camp and into the first part of the season. But it's a mess there, and we'll see if they're able to sort it out. I think he's a good football man. He's about 21 years experience in the NFL. From all accounts, has learned from some of the best and should bring a lot of positives to the Cardinals.
Yeah, he should. And Cardinals need some help, and hopefully he can provide all that help that they need. Cause there's certain positions now on that football team that need to be filled. Like with J.J. Watt retiring, so they need another rushing end, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, and also too, hopefully Kyler, it doesn't take too long to get back on the field in the beginning of the NFL season next year. But with that being said, he's going to have to make sure that they can at least float until he gets back.
Okay, as I said off the top, it's Super Wildcard weekend. 5 games in the books as of the start of this podcast. There is one game going on as we speak. It's the Tampa Bay Bucks hosting the Dallas Cowboys. I haven't been tuning in too much, but I've seen a score or two, and it looks like the Cowboys are stomping on the Bucks. After that fiasco with the Chargers and the Jags, I'll never call a team out anymore, even if they're down 27-0. But it looks like the Cowboys are going in there and taking care of business. But I really look forward to breaking down a lot of these games that we saw over the weekend. There was supposed to be about 3 or 4 blowouts, and all games were close except for the Seattle-San Fran game. Everyone was a 1-score game except for that Seattle game, which was close at halftime. Seattle actually had a lead at half, but weren't able to keep it on. Weird weekend with 7 of the 14 teams were starting a quarterback making his first postseason appearance, and 10 of the starting quarterbacks were under the age of 28. So a changing of the guard, as you said last week. And we've got a couple old guys. Looks like Tom Brady might be packing his bags and not be moving forward. But the as I said, it was 1-score games throughout the whole weekend. And the king of 1-score games this year was the Vikings. They won 11 1-score games. And it looked like, they should be able to take care of the Giants. You look at the record, they were 13-4. The Giants come in 10-6-1, and you think, okay, the Vikings team at home, they should have an advantage. But the Giants went in there and took care of business. Daniel Jones had an absolutely amazing game. All his weapons. Saquon Barkley was dynamic as usual, and this team really played super solid and was able to get the big victory over the Vikings. What do you think of this one?
I guess I don't. How about this? We've always had the questions about Vikings. It's like, well, is it smoke and mirrors though? It's like they have such a great record, but it's like you always had this. I don't know. And then the Giants come into their arena. They do that to them. But hats off for both offenses. It was a close game, man. It was a close game. It was a very close game. But Daniel Jones had probably the best game of his career in a must-win situation. And he was absolutely fantastic. He only missed 11 passes, 24, 35, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the more important thing was 17 carries for 78 yards. He was their leading rusher as well. And so he did it with his legs and he did it with his arm. And apparently, first player all time with 300 plus yards, with 2 passing touchdowns and 70 plus rushing yards. First quarterback to ever do that. So, hats off to Daniel Jones. He did an amazing job. And also, hats off to a little-known receiver, Hodgins. 8 receptions, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. He was big down the stretch. That kid was huge.
I came close to picking him in DraftKings, and I really kicked myself all game long. I was like, why? I should have gone him. I went for Richie James instead, and it was just the numbers were so much different. Hodgins, I just didn't know if they would throw him the ball that much as they had down the stretch, but they sure did. And it was big. As you said, Daniel Jones, first quarterback ever to do that. But he did join some company with his passing and rushing numbers. Lamar Jackson and Steve Young are the only 2 other guys to ever throw for 300 yards and personally run for like 70 plus in a playoff game. Both of them never got the 2 passing touchdowns, and that's where Daniel Jones put himself just above them on that category. So it was a fun game, back and forth. It was really great offensive display, a lot of amazing performances by both teams, but Vikings were just a small step behind. For some reason, Justin Jefferson was held in check. He got 7 catches, but only 47 yards. That's not a typical Justin Jefferson day. They weren't able to get Dalvin Cook really cooking. He got only 60 yards on the ground and 10 yards through the air. And they just didn't seem to have anybody going except TJ Hawkinson, who seemed to be grabbing balls left, right, and center all over the place. But their weapons were muted somehow by the Giants defense.
Yeah, I think the Giants secondary basically took away Jefferson's downfield threat. Yeah. And I think they double teamed them pretty much a lot of that game. And so they I think their idea was to keep him in front of them and then make the catches, the underneath catches, and just limit his yardage. And then that's what they did. They were incredibly successful with that. And the Vikings just couldn't overcome one of the best receivers being taken away from them.
Kirk Cousins receives a lot of criticism. Everybody said all year, well, they've won 9 games, they won 10 games, they won 11 games, they won 12 games. Yeah, but it's Kirk Cousins. He's gonna lose it at some point. And his throw on 4th and 8 for a 3-yard toss was just the capper, where you're like, oh my God, this is Kirk Cousins. Why would he do that? I guess he was flushed out of the pocket. He got a little nervous that he was getting close to being tackled, but he had to throw it up for Jefferson or Osborne in that situation. You got to throw it past the sticks. You can't throw it short and expect to get that. And that was the killer of the game. That was over. But, you got Jefferson, who showed you he can catch balls that are even way over his head and bring him down. Osborne's good like that too. It really was super disappointing that he didn't at least throw it past the sticks.
I was a little bit confused because I'm like, doesn't he need more yardage? 3? That's why I was confused at. And the fact that you're right, like the game's on the line, throw it to your best receiver and hopefully he makes a play. Because if you don't give him that opportunity, he can't make a play. That's kind of how it works.
Yeah. I saw Jefferson on the sideline after, and he looked just shell shocked. He was just blown away. He had such a phenomenal year. He contributed so much. He just looked like, yeah, he got shut down. They didn't figure out how to get him in open space at all. And when you got a weapon that incredible, you have to figure it out. You have to get him the ball. Maybe some of those end around sweeps like Debo does. You just got to get him the ball. He's your most dynamic player, and he only touched the ball 7 times for 47 yards. That's not going to do it when the other teams have dynamic guys that can put up big yards.
Yeah, they should have been moving him all over the field to try to get him open, like all over the field, constantly throughout the course of that game. They clearly did not do that enough. They just didn't scheme enough, and I think the Giants schemed greatly to take him away. Their scheme that they had for Justin Jefferson was amazing.
Well, now the Giants won, they advance, and they get the Philadelphia Eagles, who've been sitting at home with a bye week. They get to play them in Philly on Saturday night, 5:15 Pacific, 8:15 Eastern time. Eagles will obviously be favored after a phenomenal season and getting the number 1 seed in the NFC. The Eagles beat the Giants twice in the past past month, let's say. They just beat them last week, January 8th, 22-16, and they destroyed them December 11th, 48-22. That day was the day they had 230 plus rushing yards, and they were the dominant team. This will be interesting to see, facing them for a third time, divisional opponent. Eagles really have had their way with them, and I don't expect the Giants to be able to do what they did to the Vikings against the Eagles.
I think this is as far as they go. I think that the Eagles are just a superior team, and I think the Eagles are going to challenge the Giants to try to stop the run game, and I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. No. Like I literally. Like if I look in my crystal ball, it's not there. It's not happening.
No. I think you're right. I think the Cinderella story is over, and Brian Daboll had a great year. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, point to a ton of those guys. They had a great year, but this probably will be the end for them. So let's continue on with the NFC. As I mentioned, the Seahawks and the Niners played early on Saturday. Seahawks, had a great game plan. Scored 17 points in that second quarter to take a 17-16 lead into the locker room. The Niners made some adjustments in that second half and outscored them 25-6 in the second half, taking a 41-23 victory. There's just too many weapons. We've been saying it for week after week after week with the Niners. Their 11th straight victory. And it's just pick your poison. Seahawks had a great run this year. They should be really proud of themselves for even just making the playoffs and giving them a little bit of a run for their money in this one. But once the Niners were able to get some of their weapons unleashed, this was over.
Oh yeah. It was. I was like, you know what? The Seahawks are putting up a great fight in the first half, and then once the second half started, I go, like, this is as far as they go. That's it, because you could only bottle up all of those weapons that the 49ers have for so long, and the other mere fact that their third stringer Purdy, he doesn't turn over the ball. He doesn't do that. He throws touchdowns. No interception. He doesn't turn over the ball. Like I find that the most incredible thing about this kid is that he's figured out, I just won't turn over the ball. I just won't throw interceptions. Yeah. And he does it so well. He doesn't throw interceptions. He's just very smart and cerebral quarterback. Yeah. Deebo Samuel, big game. 6 receptions for 133 yards and a touchdown. And then good old steady Eddie McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey. Ed was his father. Christian McCaffrey, 15 carries, 119 yards, and then 2 receptions for 17 yards and a touchdown. Like you said, it's pick your poison with that team. And what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, no, they are so strong. Getting that deal done for McCaffrey halfway through the season, he came in. The Niners have just been on another trajectory, stratosphere, and yeah, look out. You got Elijah Mitchell, you got McCaffrey, you got Samuel. Purdy's come in, hasn't missed a beat at all. Ayuk is playing great. Kittle's there. Yeah, this team is just stacked beyond belief. I'm super impressed with Brock Purdy. They called him Mr. Irrelevant because he was the last pick in the draft. But man, this guy is becoming relevant. He's starting to break records of Niners, of some of the great quarterbacks of all time that went there. Joe Montana, Steve Young, Jeff Garcia. A lot of amazing quarterbacks there, and he's smashing their records. He's actually just been a complete shock to most of the world, and coming in 332 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and he got one on the ground himself. Yeah, like holy, this is a storybook start to his career, and he's still undefeated.
Yeah. So now, if he keeps this ball rolling, right? What happens next year? It's like, oh right, you have that dude Trey Lance, but maybe we want to keep rolling with this guy, right?
Yeah.
And like especially if he just keeps doing what he's doing right now, it's going to be really hard for you to say to the fan base, the 49er fan base, it's like, well, we're going to go with Trey Lance. He's going to be starting quarterback. It's like, what about that other dude? Like he did so much in the playoffs. Like there's going to be questions. There's definitely going to be questions, but the right kind of questions. Because also too, there was a dude that got drafted late, way back in the day, almost kind of like Brock Purdy. I think you know who I'm talking about. I don't like that dude, by the way. Tom Brady. Like this, he's kind of going the same route right now. So you have to think to yourself, well, these things can happen, and if it's happening to us right now, maybe we got to capitalize on it.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, especially if he can take them to a Super Bowl and even win one. Holy cow, incredible. Yeah, what a story. One of the biggest stories of the season, and what a rookie campaign already for this guy. And yeah, they're still going. They will host either the Cowboys or the Bucks going in next week. They didn't play Dallas this year, but they beat the Bucks 35-7 on December 11th, just about a month ago. That game will be the late game Sunday, 3:30 Pacific, kickoff 6:30 Eastern. They will host the Cowboys or the Bucks there. So yeah, I expect them to keep rolling. I think they're better than both those teams, no matter who wins.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like Dallas's D is going to be tough, but again, they're just going to be like, okay, so who are we going to double team? Who's that going to be? So yeah, Dallas D is great, but so is the 49ers D is great. Like I think overall the 49ers have.
Okay, let's turn to the AFC. The Chiefs got the bye. They finished first in the conference, and now they will play host to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars should not be there. That was brutal, crazy. One of the biggest choke jobs I've ever seen a team have. When you win the turnover battle 5-0, you don't lose. It's the first time in the history of the NFL that a team has won a game when they've turned over the ball 5 times and never got a turnover from the other team. 4 picks from Trevor Lawrence in the first half. Asante Samuel got 3 of them, almost single-handedly handing the victory to the Chargers. Brandon Staley, I just kept looking today. I was just praying. Fired. I just kept refreshing my phone. I just wanted to see fired Brandon Staley. I was like, please just fire this guy. He deserves it. You cannot lose a game when you're winning 27-0. and blow a playoff game and a big year of Justin Herbert. You got all these weapons there. He does not deserve this job anymore. That was just a complete collapse that is historic in nature and just disgusting. It was disgusting. I was puking in my mouth like all second half. I was like, are you kidding me? They can't do this. And they did it. They blew it.
Yeah, they sure did. This as I was talking to you before we went on, I fell asleep. I'm an old man. I fell asleep because first half, I'm like, so Lawrence threw 4 interceptions. The score is 27-0. As far as my brain said, it's like the game is now over. You can rest now. It is fine, right? Yeah. When I woke up again, I saw the score of 30-28, and the Jags were marching down the field. And I'm like, what happened? What did you do? How could you have done this? Like, what are you doing? I rubbed my eyes and I'm like, this has got to be a nightmare of some sort, right? This can't be real. Can't be real. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. But I will say this: hats off to Trevor Lawrence for not getting down on himself like what a normal quarterback would do, and then throwing 4 darts in the second half, as opposed to 4 interceptions. So
shocking. Yeah. I don't remember a quarterback being able to, usually they're curled up in a fetal position on the sideline. There's another quarterback in there. By the time they've thrown that much, they're seeing ghosts out of the side of their eyes. They're like, gun shy. They don't want to fire the ball anymore. It's amazing that he was able to shake it off and throw 4 touchdown passes, the rest of the game. It was incredible performance by him. He is living up to that billing as one of the, those top up and coming quarterbacks. Got drafted first overall and leading the Jags to a victory. They do not deserve it, but they are there. They were able to pull it off, and now they got the Chiefs. Cinderella story is done, now, but to actually get a win must have shocked most of Florida and all the fans there. The other thing that I thought the Chargers had going for them was Cameron Dicker. He had only missed 1 field goal the entire season, and you think, okay, he's got this 40-yarder, and it went wide. If he makes that kick, they win that game. And he had just been named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Month, and he was super confident, and I couldn't believe it. The announcers jinxed it when they made those announcements. Oh, only 1 missed kick the whole year. Oh yeah, this guy's automatic. And oh man, I was pretty pissed off. It kind of ruined most of my Saturday night there, and I can't believe that the Chargers could do this. This is a snake-bitten franchise, and another big dark cloud going over them for this loss. This was a game that they had. Brandon Staley, just run the ball, man. Just run the freaking ball and take care of the clock and get this victory. Like, how could you not secure this win if you're up that much? They were giving them the game. 5 turnovers, like you win that game. There's no way you can lose that. And I can't see the Chargers not firing him. He made a massive mistake the week before, starting all his players, having Mike Williams get hurt. If Mike Williams plays that game, they win this game because he just makes a couple of big catches. He opens the field for the other guys, and they win this game. So he makes a massive mistake last game of the season, meaningless game, plays his starters, gets a guy hurt that's one of their best, and then he goes into this one and blows a game that the Jags just didn't even want to win. They were like, here you go. And it's just horrible to think that the Chargers had that in their grasp and they let it slip through the fingers.
Yeah, that all of these things happen. And I'm sorry, you gotta look at the head coach and be like, so you didn't want to, burn the clock, like just try to control the play with a lot of running plays and stuff. I've heard that Austin Eckler is pretty good, so I don't think he was the problem. He just didn't, give him enough of an opportunity. 13 carries is a bit, but he probably should have had like double that in the second half. Just try to control the clock, wear it down.
Why is he only touching the ball that little? Like he's such a weapon there. He shouldn't have 15 touches in a game. Like he should have 20 to 25 to 30, especially when you're up that much. You run the ball when you're up that much. You just kill the clock. And he's a guy that can get into open spaces and get you those 4, 5, 6 yards of carry or catching small little passes out of the backfield. My God, I think anybody could have taken that game up 27-0. Anybody, you could have named anybody the head coach for the next 30 minutes and they would have taken that home. Somehow only one guy blows it, and this is Brandon Staley.
Well, maybe one other guy, Nathaniel Hackett, because he probably would have been able to score that many points. But I digress.
Right. Good point. Yeah. Another no mind, brutal. I feel very sorry for Justin Herbert. I feel very sorry for Asante Samuel. Like 3 picks in a game. Getting a hat trick of picks in a game is unheard of. Absolutely amazing. Gerald Everett was huge, and Keenan Allen was a little bit held in check, and I don't think he would have been held in check with Mike Williams on the other side. I think this team would have easily won. But as I said, the Chiefs host the Jags. That's the Saturday game, the first game of the weekend, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern time kickoff for that one. So let's move on. Buffalo was supposed to just come into the Dolphins, squish the fish, and crush them easily. We have a third-string quarterback there against Josh Allen, and this was not supposed to be close. But for some reason, Josh Allen really likes throwing these long bomb picks and giving teams a little bit of a chance to think that they can win these games. That was weird to watch some of the shenanigans that they had for play calling when this should have been an easy victory. They really had to grind it out.
Yeah, they had to grind it out. Some of the play calling was, like you said, a little bit odd. I think they tried to be a little bit too fancy, a little too complex, when they could have just been like, let's just go with our meat and potatoes plays, man. And I think that's what they should have done. Maybe this is what they learned from that. They'll do that in the future, because like the Dolphins QB Thompson, I don't know who that is, but like that guy should not be coming close to beating a team of the Bills caliber. That's what I'm saying. That shouldn't actually really happen like that. But Bills still pulled it out. They got the win that they needed, so they're going forward. And Allen, 352 yards, 3 touchdowns, but the 2 interceptions were big. They were big and almost cost.
Yeah, they were big. He had a fumble too on a attempted sack. He was sacked 7 times in the game and had the 3 turnovers himself. That was tied for the most ever in a victory, and tied with Joe Burrow from 2021. You remember how Joe Burrow's protection was so horrible and he was getting sacked like crazy. He also had 7 sacks and 3 turnovers in 2021, but got the win. They sure made it tough on themselves, but they do move forward. Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis both had over 100 yards. It's the first time 2 Bills players have had over 100 yards in a playoff game since 1991. That was when James Lofton and Andre Reed both had great days. Lofton had 149 yards and Reed had 122. And then a year earlier than that, Andre Reed had 115 yards again, and Thurman Thomas had 150 yards. So those going back to the glory days of the Bills when they made 4 consecutive Super Bowls. And a lot of those Bills players were there yesterday and cheering this team on. And this team should have taken care of business and stomped them, but they are through. Now we got a rematch finally. of the game that got canceled. The Bills will be hosting the Bengals. That game on the Monday nighter, when Damar Hamlin, that was January 2nd, Damar Hamlin suffered his cardiac arrest and the game had to be canceled. That game was so highly anticipated, and I raced home to watch that Monday nighter. I was super excited and just felt kind of robbed when they canceled it partway through the first quarter. Obviously, that was the right decision with Damar Hamlin going down, but we get to see it now. We get to actually see these two teams battle it out, and this is gonna, to me, the game of the weekend, and something that I've been really looking forward to all season long. I think this is gonna be a hell of a battle.
I like to call this game the game of destiny. That's what it is. It's destiny. It was destined to happen. It couldn't go through the first time around, right? Because the near tragedy that turned into absolute elation because the young man made it. All right.
Yeah.
But now they get to do it in the bigger stage, in the playoffs, all the marbles. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I can't wait to see it. Like it's gonna be like, yeah, man. We weren't able to do the dance the first time, and now it's going down.
Yeah, this is so great. This is so great for the NFL, so great for the fans of this league, the sport. It just couldn't have worked out better. What a credible script. I think we're going to see Damar Hamlin there on the field. There'll be a lot of amazing moments that we're going to see leading up to this game, and man, this is cool. You don't often get exactly what you're hoping for in the world of sports, but this was something that I think most people hoped for, because this felt so wrong. That game had to get canceled and off the schedule, and suddenly, a few weeks later, here we are getting a chance to see them play. The Bengals, they played pretty good. I think a lot of people expected them to dominate the Ravens a bit more, with Ravens banged up using their second string quarterback. But they had to grind out a victory in this one. There has been some controversy saying that Lamar Jackson should have played. He, should have been, even if he's a little banged up, he should have went out there and given his all. But he didn't do so because he's not under contract. And what do you think? What's your take on, should he have played, or did he deserve the right to just keep off the field, make sure he's 100% healthy, get a contract, and then go forward? Should he have played, or should he not have played?
You know what? I'm going to be honest. I think it's the player's decision at that point in time. I like the fact that he actually could make that decision for himself and couldn't be influenced by the team, number one. And number two, there was a quote made by RG III, and where he said, I had something similar to Lamar Jackson, and he went out and played. And then he showed the play, I think even in his Instagram, where he had that huge leg brace. And then there was bad snap. He went back to retrieve the ball, and his leg caved in this way, like way too far. He literally was never the same after that play again. Like, he was never the same after that. And then I don't think he even lasted in the league for maybe 2 or 3 more years, bouncing around, and he's done. So he said, you know what? I think he made the right choice. And when you see that play, and like RG3 saying, I gave it my all, I shouldn't even play it on a knee that didn't even work. I think for him and his family, I think that's the right call to not play. Honestly, I think it's the right call. And especially if it's a legitimate injury, you can't say that he should be playing. Good enough for me.
Well, when he doesn't have a long-term contract, doesn't have any security, he doesn't have any guaranteed money after the season. It wouldn't make sense, even if you were 85, 90%, don't risk it. This is your whole entire career. If you have a bad play that just goes awry and you get your leg trapped up, that's it for you, for your career. And you're right. That's a really good example of Robert Griffin III. Michael Vick was very vocal, saying that he would have played, and he thinks that a lot of the players like Lamar are, a little bit soft, and he was saying some pretty harsh things, but nobody knows how your injury is but the guy that's actually injured. And, I heard that he was hobbling around when he ever went to the practice facility. He definitely was pretty injured. And, if the Ravens wanted him to play in that game, they should have signed him a contract in the offseason and had him under contract coming forward. I think he'll stay in Baltimore. They've had a lot of animosity and a lot of troubles getting together and making a contract work, but I think he'll still be there. It was just too bad that he wasn't able to be under center, and we could have seen the best against the best.
Yeah, that was the shame. That was the shame. But it's the NFL, man. Injuries happen, and in this particular situation, it was a little bit more delicate because of the contract situation. But I'm just going to go with this: the man was injured, and he wasn't well enough to play.
Yeah,
good enough.
Tyler Huntley played okay, but made a massive mistake when he decided from the 2-yard line to try to push the ball over the end zone, over the goal line, and got it knocked out. The fumble, bam, lands into Hubbard's hands, and he rumbles 98 yards down the field. The Cincinnati native, the guy that grew up there, got to play for his hometown team and got the winning margin. The Ravens were about to push it to 24-17 themselves. Suddenly, boom, it reverses. Bengals get that 24-17 margin, and that was it. That was the game.
Yeah, and that was the winning score. So good old Sam Hubbard. Yeah, that's our lucky charm. That's Cincinnati's, literally their lucky charm. And it was an amazing play. Unfortunately, I don't know what Huntley was thinking, because there's still the possibility that if it doesn't cross the line, and if it gets knocked out of your hands, it's a fumble. It's a fumble, man. So I don't think he was thinking that. I think he was thinking that he was definitely going to get over the line. That's why he chose to do that. But an interesting comment by J.K. Dobbins after the game, where he was like, I don't think my quarterback should have ever been put into that situation. I should have just been given the ball to run it in. I thought that was interesting, probably said in the moment, obviously, but it does make one think maybe that would have been the more correct call.
I agree. Dobbins is your guy, and he should have had that ball. I don't see why. Dobbins had a fantastic game. 17 touches. He had like over 100 yards with a touchdown himself. He was he's their guy, and you're relying on a backup second string quarterback. I don't get it. And he was too far from that. When he took off, he was too far. If you're only a yard or less than a yard, you can punch that in immediately. We saw Trevor Lawrence do it. We've seen others do it. But when you're taking off from between the 2 and the 3, that's just too far, and you're running too much of a risk when that whole entire line is right there. They got an opportunity to knock that ball free, and that's what happened to him. And I feel sorry for the guy, but it shouldn't have been in his hands. I think Dobbins is right.
I tend to agree. It kind of reminds me of a certain Super Bowl where a certain guy should have been handed the ball, but then instead, what ended up happening was Brady just won like another Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, right.
Talking about Seattle Patriots. So not like I'm bitter, but regardless, it was unfortunate. But the Bengals go ahead, and now we get to see our dream matchup of the Bills Bengals. Yeah, let's get it on. I think I agree with you. I think that's going to be the best playoff game of the weekend next weekend.
Yeah, I did not want the Ravens to win. I wasn't cheering for them, but I was really mad at their clock management in the last few minutes. They went into the huddle and they blew about 30 seconds of play between the 2 minutes and a minute and a half, between 1 minute and half a minute. It was just frustrating, maddening. I was just like, how could Jim Harbaugh be making these massive mistakes and allowing them to just run the clock down so much? They had 3 timeouts, and they were taking these really long huddles to call a play, and the clock was just winding down. And I think they still had a chance to get a touchdown if they would have managed the clock much better.
Yeah, no, they would have had a chance, but I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know what the heck was going on. I'm like, what are they doing? They're gonna milk the clock. I think they need to score. I think that's the wrong thing to do. They're doing the complete opposite. They're helping the other team. Does Harbaugh have money on this game for the other team? I didn't know what he was doing. It was
super frustrating, and just to ruin a incredible defensive effort. They actually held the Bengals down in a lot of ways. We've seen the Bengals put up way better numbers throughout the season. They had a great defensive effort, and to waste it on very, very poor play calling at the end, and give them an opportunity. Didn't give them the opportunity to win. I was choked and blown away, and it was super frustrating. Well, that is the NFL story for now. There's great games coming up this weekend, and we got I guess we got 7 games left in the NFL, 4 coming up this weekend, 2 the following, and then the Super Bowl. So, getting down to the nitty-gritty, getting some great matchups coming, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I know. I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be another great weekend of football. Getting down to it.
As I mentioned, it was Martin Luther King Jr. Day today. The NBA always becomes front and center on days like this, and they schedule a huge amount of games all through the morning, afternoon, and into the evening. Only one game left on the schedule that hasn't been played already today. The Rockets and the Lakers are currently playing in the second quarter. Rockets are on a 10-game losing streak, lost 15 of 16. Lakers have lost 3 in a row, and they are far down the standings. So not exactly a barn burner that I'm going to be tuning into once this podcast is done. But a lot of good matchups today. I really enjoyed some of the highlights. Great to see the Raptors win in overtime, 123-121 over the Knicks. Great performance there. Celtics continue to dominate. Had a huge victory there today, 130-118 over the Hornets. Warriors got 41 out of Steph and got a big victory over the Wizards. Bucks won without Giannis. Drew Holiday had the big game there. The Hawks beat the Heat. The Cavs beat the Pelicans. Jazz just squeaked out a win over the Timberwolves, 126-125. Grizzlies continue their hot play and dominated the Suns, 136-106. A lot of great matchups today.
A lot of great matchups. The big score of the day was Jason Tatum with 51 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists in his in the Celtics dominating win over the Hornets. And Raptors in a very, very close matchup against the Knicks. I had it, like, I watched some of the game, and it was fantastic because the Raptors had to battle back against the Knicks. And Freddie VanVleet was big down the stretch. He was big, man. 33 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. And I love the team. It's almost as if they're just missing that one very much breakthrough superstar. It's like they're just very close. Like they're almost there. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're missing that one guy. Like if they had,
I find that almost every game. I just wish they had, just the one guy, and you could see them at the top of the East again.
Yeah, like if they had Kawhi still there with that team around him, and if Kawhi was actually playing on the regular, that's it. That's the kind of what they're missing. That's what they're missing.
Yeah. So obviously when they faced the Knicks, they faced Jalen Brunson, who signed a big deal there this year, leaving Dallas and going to the Knicks. He got the Eastern Conference Player of the Week this past week. Led the Knicks to a 3-1 record, 35 points, 6 rebounds, and 5.5 assists for the week. Shot over 52% from the field, 50% from 3, and 97% from the free throw line. Awesome performance from him. And I know Dallas is missing him big time this year.
Yeah, Dallas just doesn't have that guy that just basically sets the table other than Luka. Once Luka leaves the floor, like they just don't have that distributor that Brunson was, and that was his role. Luka left the floor, and then Brunson could distribute and make sure that the offense just kept on humming along. So that's something that the Mavs are going to have to figure out going forward with that team, because I think they definitely need another player like that whenever Doncic leaves the floor.
The Western Conference Player of the Week was Domantas Sabonis. He led the Kings to a 4-0 record. He's averaging a triple-double this past week with 18.5 points, 14.3 rebounds, and over 10 assists. Has really turned this Kings franchise around, and they made a lot of deals in this past offseason, and seems like it's worked out pretty well for them. They're becoming a force to be reckoned with a lot of great games and doing well.
Yes, they're becoming a force to be reckoned with. And then also on top of that, I believe Domantas is playing actually with an injury. I think he has an injured thumb. Mm-hmm. And so he's doing all of this with being kind of handicapped. So it's almost like he's saying to the league, I'm not even at my best, all right? And I'm still able to do this. That's how good I am. Right?
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's good to see he's even playing injured, he's still dominating. As I mentioned earlier, the Celtics, wow, they are having a hell of a year. They've got a 4.5 game lead on the second and third place team in the conference, 33-12. They've won 9 out of their past 11 games, and there's some teams in the East that are playing pretty well. The last 10 games, we've seen the Nets, Sixers, Knicks, and Heat all go 7-3. Raptors entered into today sitting 11th place, just a half game back of Chicago. They might sneak into that play-in game soon if they don't make a major move. There was a story about CJ McCollum saying that this Raptors team is great. They just need that one more piece, just as you mentioned. They just got to make a trade, and I think that sort of ramped up some trade speculation and some heat on it. And we'll see what Bobby Green and Masai Ujiri pull together. Hope they can make a deal and make this team solid so they can get higher up in the Eastern Conference standing.
Yeah. They need a superstar. I think that's what they're lacking. They just need that superstar, because I think they have all the other pieces that they actually need. Just that one guy. They can get that. They can figure out who that is. If they can get that one guy, I think the Raptors are going to go shooting up the conference ranks immediately.
Just turning to the West briefly, Denver's leading the conference. Denver and the Grizzlies have the exact same record of 30-13. Both teams have won 9 of their last 11 games. I'm loving seeing the Joker against Ja going for the Western Conference top players. That dunk that Ja threw down on Saturday, one of the greatest dunks of all time. They showed it on replay on TSN probably like 20 times in a row, because everybody couldn't believe how much of a tomahawk, how far back he was when he threw it down. The bench went crazy, and he's just a human highlight reel every single night.
Even when he misses is a highlight. Like even when he misses, but that dunk was absolutely insane, because he literally floated past the man and said, "I'll just wait for you to pass me. Okay, now I'll dunk it." Bam! It's just like, it was awesome. It was what a great highlight.
So spectacular, yeah. It's shaping out the Western Conference like a lot of people suspected. Kings are a lot higher than people thought. But the teams that are sort of shocking me are the ones that are in 10, 11, 12, 13. We got the Blazers Thunder, Suns, and the Lakers. Weird to see the Suns down in 12th place. Lost 3 in a row, only 1 win. Their past 10. Man, are they missing Devin Booker? And this team has fallen on hard times after being at the top of the Western Conference the last couple seasons.
Yeah, it's shocking that how much they've just fallen. And then also too, like the whole situation with Jay Crowder. That situation is. Yeah. So are you trying to tell me you couldn't use that guy right now? Like, really? I don't really understand that situation. I think it stems from the fact that they said that you would have to come off the bench, and he's just like, oh, I don't actually do that. I don't think I'm bad enough that I need to come off the bench. I believe he's right. I'm looking at the 1-9 right now. I think he's right. So, there just seems to be a disconnection with the entire team. And it doesn't help that your best players are out right now with injuries. So.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, strange. It's weird. Must be something else in the scene that we don't know about. But yeah, it's shaping up good. LeBron James became the second player in history to get 38,000 plus points over the weekend. He is probably less than a month away now from breaking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time record. Health providing. I said I really wasn't interested in watching the game tonight, but it's always amazing to watch LeBron come out there and start breaking all these records. It seems like every week we're talking about him breaking another record, setting another milestone. Yeah, it's incredibly impressive every time.
It is incredibly impressive, but if there's one thing though that the Lakers should be kind of a little bit more focused on is, we're just gonna waste this year. He's still really good. They're just gonna throw it away. I guess it doesn't help that Anthony Davis he was having an MVP type caliber year. Like he was back on it. He's back to Anthony Davis that we know, like the height of his powers.
He looked incredible before he got hurt. Incredible. Yeah.
And then he got hurt again. And so you're like, oh well. Oh well. And so I don't know what they're gonna have to do going forward, but if they plan to keep LeBron on, you gotta give him a better team than this. You gotta give him a better team than that.
True. Yep. Okay, let's go to the UFC. They were off for an entire month. Finally had the first card of 2023. This was Fight Night 217, Vegas 67. This was supposed to be Kelvin Gastelum against Nasruddin Imavov. Gastelum got hurt. Sean Strickland was a late replacement, given 5 days to get ready for this fight. Luckily, Sean had fought on the last fight night before the holidays. Jared Cannonier was his opponent back then. So he had 2 main event fights within a month of each other and was able to step in. I didn't love his performance against Cannonier, but I really thought he did a great job in this one. He was the aggressor. He was pretty elusive and took the victory to Imavov when a lot of people weren't giving him much of a chance.
I incorrectly didn't give him a chance in this fight either. But the one thing that I don't give Sean Strickland credit enough, it's the style that he fights. He makes it incredibly uncomfortable for the guy he's fighting across from because of the space, the way that he likes to fight. He fights close, and he's always close to you. He doesn't take steps back. He's always very much in your space. And Imavov was not used to fighting somebody like that. Actually, he's been training to fight somebody more traditional that would keep space. So I think he was flustered and was kind of confused about how he should be attacking Strickland. And he never figured out that code. He never cracked the code throughout the entire fight because Strickland fights in a boxing sort of a boxing distance, and Imavov is not used to that. He's used to incorporating his kicks and everything else. So every time he was trying to gauge more distance, Strickland would cut him down, cut down that distance immediately and always stay within that. And he's incredibly elusive within that distance. He's very economical in his movements. And it was a very sound, decisive victory on my part for Strickland. He looked fantastic.
Yeah, you're right. I love that he can be elusive, being in that pocket, in that phone booth. He just knows how to make those movements, just be just a little bit out of the way of the shots that are coming. His pressing, he doesn't give up on the constant pressure and the strikes. He's jabbing a lot. He's throwing his shots a lot. It was it was one of the best performances I've seen him in a long time, and I wasn't expecting that of him from, just a month ago, seeing him really not be that guy. He really was able to change his game plan completely for this one, and he won those first 4 rounds, I thought, pretty handily, pretty easily. I thought Imavov probably got that last round after his corner implored him, like, you got to knock this guy out or you're losing this fight. And he finally turned up the heat a little bit, but and great performance by Strickland. I'm not a huge fan of Strickland. Just I don't know. He just seems like a bit of a jerk. He doesn't come across as one of those guys that you look up to and think this is a model of the UFC fighters. He's a big mouth. He says a lot of really strange things, and he's not a shining example, but when you see performances like this, I can appreciate the fans that are fans of him.
Yeah, the man can fight. Yeah. And he fights in a very particular style that makes him very hard to fight. But yes, I kind of agree with you. He does say some weird stuff sometimes, some really weird stuff. So anyways, but going off, regardless of all of that, great win by Strickland. And hats off to him for taking this fight on very, very, very short notice and getting the win.
The co-main event I was looking forward to a lot. This is a striker versus grappler matchup that I always love. Our friend Scott Holborn is always going to go for the grappler. I'm going to go for the striker. I was hoping Ige could come in and do this. I wasn't really confident that he could because he had lost 3 in a row, 4 of 5. Damon Jackson had only lost 1 out of his last 5 and seemed to be really putting something together. Ige came in and there was fireworks immediately. He pressed the action and was throwing some really hard shots. Jackson just kept circling and trying to stay away from these shots because Ige was just really relentless early on. And he finally just landed a couple of shots that seemed to wobble Jackson and was able to take him out. Got his 50K, just like his nickname. And this was a great performance from Ige, coming back after 3 straight losses. Hasn't won in a couple of years and had really fallen on some hard times. But this must have felt incredible for him, his corner, his camp, and his family.
Yeah, it was. And it was incredibly emotional after that win because as he said, he hadn't won in a couple of years, and it was very depressing times for him. But the one thing that I did notice in this fight, he was laser focused, and his stand up was obviously much better than Damon Jackson's. But at the same time, I thought Jackson still did very well in his stand up, in his preparation with Ige. Like he kept on the outside, he picked the shots when he could. In the second round, when Ige finally got to him and knocked him out, they were actually in the middle of an exchange, and that Ige's left hook got there before his left hook got there. And then that was it. That's all she said. Now, if I'm Damon Jackson, I probably wouldn't want to trade hooks with Ige because there's clearly somebody stronger at that than I am, and that's Ige. And that's why he got knocked out.
That was a walk-off KO. We don't see too many of those. Always fun to see and know that the guy just knew as soon as he landed. Yeah, that was good enough. All right, so who's next? He dropped real quick. And I loved Ige's performance. Jackson's tough and brought it still, but Ige, as you said, you don't want to exchange the same punch for punch with Ige. If you feel like you're gonna win, it's probably not gonna be the case. So okay, let's talk about the middleweight fight between Roman Krylov and Puna Soriano. Both were 9-2 coming into this one. Puna was just throwing some really huge shots early, but he just couldn't seem to land clean shots. Kopylov was really good at his leg strikes, keeping him at distance. Really seemed calm in his demeanor and his approach, and just walked through any of the shots that did land until finally he was able to land some body shots to Soriano that just seemed to really just buckle him over. He wasn't able to really get back to his stance. Another body shot put him down, and then it was all over. Kerry Hatley came in when Krylov just forced the action, and great performance. I thought Puna really put it at him early, but wasn't able to land those big shots that he was trying to throw.
Yeah, like Puna came on strong in the beginning there, and Kopylov he weathered the storm. He weathered the storm. He was able to pick his counterattacks when he could, but and Puna wasn't able to land anything solid. And then in that second round, once he started landing those liver kicks, Soriano felt every single one of those kicks. And you could tell from that first one where he's like, even the announcer was like, oh, he's hurt. He's hurt bad, right? Like you could tell, like it was written on his face. He had the physical reaction to the kick. And then the second one is what really did the damage. And then he put him away. I was impressed. I was impressed with this win by Kopylov. Impressive win.
Impressive win, yeah, definitely. Okay. The fight that preceded that was the women's bantamweight fight between Rocky Pennington and Caitlin Vieira. This was a great battle between two girls that were super tough. They both brought it. They both threw a lot of really heavy shots and had each other in trouble at times. But I really thought that Vieira won this. I scored the first and third for her. I had Rocky winning that second round. The judges ended up calling it a split decision, and Pennington got the victory. She's asking for a title fight now. She is on a great streak and near the top of that division. But I actually thought Vieira won this. When they went to the judges' scorecards, I thought she was going to get her hand raised.
So did I. I scored it like you did. I thought Vieira won this fight. I was a little bit surprised at the split decision, and then I was even more surprised at the split decision win for Pennington. And I was like, oh, that's not the way I saw that coming. I guess they gave the fight to her more for her control against the fence for Pennington. I guess. Yeah. Anyways, great win by Pennington. I don't necessarily know if she's going to get her wish for a shot at the champion. I think there's others that would probably be better suited at a shot for the champion. But, if she can maybe get another win in the top 5, then she'll definitely get that shot. But I don't know about that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think she needs at least to be impressive in one more fight before she gets a shot there. I didn't think she did enough to get that victory, and you should get a convincing victory to get a title shot, and that wasn't the case. The fight that kicked off the main card was Umar Nurmagomedov against Raoni Barcelos. This was a mismatch. I didn't like the matchmakers putting these two guys together. I thought Nurmagomedov was just definitely way superior of the fighter here. After just a small little feeling out process in that first minute, Umar just put it on him. This was this was kind of ugly. I thought Umar beat him bad and got the knockout victory.
Yeah, he got the knockout victory against Barcelos. I like the fact that Umar, he got it near the end of the first round, but he took his time. He just took his time. And then once he finally exploded, he saw his opening. And I'm going to be honest. I didn't think it was really even much of an opening. Missed with the knee, caught him with the left, knocked him out right then and there, and then I think he hit him again with the right, and it was over. And I love the fact that Umar was apologetic for doing one overhand smash while he was to the downed opponent, where he goes, "That was my mistake. I'm sorry. He was already out. I should not have done." Like saying it in his accent. I was like, "Oh, so you're apologizing to the guy that you knocked out because I gave him one more shot that I shouldn't have. Sorry about that."
Yeah, I love that too. I was talking with Grayson about that today. We both made a mention of it. Yeah, it's good to see. That's good sportsmanship. There's a lot of guys that will just keep pounding a guy. If the referee didn't stop him, he would just pound and pound and pound and pound him. Pretty amazing that he was that aware and had to send out his apologies because he didn't really want to hurt him any worse than he already had. And yeah, it was good. I got respect for him for making that mention.
Yeah, no, I do. I definitely do. And I wish more fighters were a little bit like that, but hey, it's within the rules. Go until the ref pulls you off.
Okay. Let's talk about the prelims. The featured prelim had Javid Basharat and Mendoza, Mateusz Mendokoya. I don't know how to say his last name. Shit, I forgot. Mendonca, is that how you say it?
Mondonka, I think.
This was his UFC debut. They both came into this fight both undefeated. Basharat 13-0 and Mendonca 10-0. This was a good one. I enjoyed these guys. Lots of great leg kicks. A few nice lefts landed. Some takedowns that were. I think Mendonca had a lot of takedowns that were stuffed by Basharat, and it tired him out. I think eventually when he got tired out, Javid was able to land some big shots, get him down, get some ground and pound that really turned the tables in his favor, and he was able to finally get the decision victory here.
Yeah, Mendonca, he tried to press the action against Basharat, tried to crowd him, tried to make him uncomfortable. But eventually, from what I saw in the fight, is that his gas tank started going on empty. And Basharat was still good to go. And that was a big problem, especially in the third round where he literally began to take over. Basharat is an incredibly savvy, smart fighter, keeps his distance, knows how to manage his distance well with his combinations and his kicks and such. And he was definitely the better technical fighter out of the two. And that definitely showed throughout the course of this fight. Great win by Basharat against a very, very game Mendonca. Very game.
Yeah, that was great performance by Basharat. Nice win. Kicked the guy's in his debut, and there was a few fighters making their UFC debut on this card, and the fight that preceded them, the Claudio Ribeiro was making his UFC debut, comes in at 10-2, fighting a really, really powerful, tough guy in Abdul Razak Al Hassan. He has 11 victories in his MMA career, all of them by KO. Once he was able to finally land a shot, it was all she wrote. Got his 12th KO and his 12th win. And man, this guy has amazing power. That second round, once he just came in, was able to finally get the shot to land. It was all she wrote.
Yeah, and he was more than willing to trade a shot to get a shot. So he was not really checking Ribeiro's ridiculously hard calf kicks that he was throwing throughout the course of that fight. Like I was amazed that he was willing to go that far, which is, I'm gonna eat these calf kicks so I can just like hit him with a punch, right? Like, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know how many more you could actually eat of those, because those looked incredibly powerful, incredibly strong. Both big men for their weight divisions too as well. But once he was able to get stimulated, because I believe he ate a calf kick, and I think Al Hassan literally said, "Enough's enough." Overhand right, like he basically was like hammering a nail into the ground until it was over.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he just started pounding that nail and was not going to stop until the referee pulled him off and the guy was nailed through the canvas. It was pretty awesome and incredible performance. He called out Joaquin Buckley after. He swore like you wouldn't believe. I will not read the whole quote, but he was calling him every name in the book, trying to get him angry. They fought back in February of 2022. Buckley got the decision, a split decision victory. He said he's a pussy, he's a this, he's a that. I'm gonna show you how effing African fighters fight. He said Buckley promised me that he would come in and bang, and all he did was run. And I want to have him just come in, and we'll go toe to toe, and we'll see if they can put this together. That would be pretty wild. Both those guys are massively powerful for this weight division.
It's always fun seeing power guys go at it, because then usually without a shadow of a doubt, well, somebody's going to get knocked out.
Yeah,
there's going to be a vicious KO, and I'm going to go home happy after seeing the fight. So
Hassan's one of those guys that doesn't seem to care if he gets knocked out. He doesn't fight safe at all. He just goes and goes and goes. And if he catches, he catches the guy, great. If he gets caught, oh well. He doesn't seem to be fighting smart. I think his corner was imploring him to use a different technique and a different style, and I think he listened a little bit, but this is a guy that's just exciting every time he enters the octagon.
Yes, he's absolutely exciting. He's absolutely explosive with that just obscene amount of power that he brings into the octagon. I look forward to it. Hey, hopefully the matchmakers make that fun.
Yeah, let's hope. Yeah. Okay, let's blast through the last few here. Mateusz Rubeski was making his UFC debut, the Polish fighter, coming in 16-1 on his record, fighting one of the most inexperienced guys in the UFC. Had only fought 6 times, coming in 6-0. Nick Fury. Man, this Mateusz Rubeski has just an awesome, absolutely dominant power. Another one of those Polish power guys that just is built so solidly. He was just throwing some serious shots, and his ground and pound was pretty amazing. I thought he dominated on the feet and on the ground, and really took it to this guy.
Yeah, he had very timely takedowns against Fury. I'll give Fury this. He's tough. Like I think a lot of other guys would have been KO'd or technical knockout for sure. But Rebecki managed to hold on. His gas tank was a little bit flaming out in the 3rd round, but again, he got the timely takedowns when he needed and controlled the fight when he had to. Got the decisive win.
Alan Nascimento got $50K for his submission victory over Carlos Hernandez in the flyweight fight. The first minute, there was a bit of just timing each other out, making sure everything was fine. Alan connected with a good combination, and then he just immediately transitioned to his back while they were standing, was able to get it to the ground. Even when Carlos got the fight back to the feet, he was still able to sink in that rear naked choke and force the tap. Amazing, great performance by Nascimento, and this was a pretty easy submission victory for him.
Yeah, it was almost like he was he was just practicing on the mats, so to speak. I think Nascimento definitely outclassed his opponent in this particular fight. And it wasn't really close. Nascimento got a pretty easy victory here.
Carlos had only won one fight, 8-1 coming in, but got his second loss. His first loss in the UFC, but yeah, Nascimento was better there. The early fights, they weren't on our local cable. They didn't start the prelims in time. I did watch a little bit of it, but Argueta was better, got a decision victory over Nick Aguirre, and Charles Johnson got a really good KO victory over Jimmy Flick to start the card. And that was the first fight of 2023. They will always be able to say that. And it was a nice performance by Charles Johnson getting the KO win.
Yeah. Very good performance by Charles Johnson. And yeah, great KO win for him, for sure.
Okay, I do want to mention a couple of things before we just talk about next week. I want to say that there was you actually sent me some info about John Jones and Cyril Gane going for the heavyweight belt. Francis Ngannou has been released by the UFC. They weren't able to come to terms on a new contract. Dana White said that he was going to be the all-time highest paid heavyweight fighter of all time, and he walked away from that to pursue other avenues, become a free agent. I'm not surprised. I don't think you are. You and I talked about this for the last couple of years, really, and once he started getting into battles with that, and there was other opportunities out there where he could probably make more money, we thought this was probably inevitable, and they finally decided this was it. They're moving forward, and he's no longer part of the UFC. Shocking to see the heavyweight champion of the world, in a way, walking away from the top combat sports organization in the world, but I think this was kind of inevitable.
I think so too. I do appreciate, I'm going to say this, I appreciate the fact on how Dana White always tries to control the narrative of how people are supposed to perceive how the contract negotiations actually went, as opposed to actually how they went. All right. So he kept saying this would have made him the richest heavyweight in the game and blah, 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 blah. Yes, it was. So basically he's trying to tell you that he wanted more money. That was not the issue. Wasn't the issue. And also, too, then he added in the other caveat of, well, maybe he's just kind of afraid of the competition here, but because this is what we do, and if he does what he wants to do, then he does need to go somewhere else. And I go, that wasn't it either. That's not it either. If you saw this man in real life, you would understand that he's not afraid of anything that's walking on God's green earth. Okay? That's that. So what actually was the issue was the fact that Ngannou wanted the chance to do what Conor McGregor did, and he wanted written into the contract that he could go off and box Tyson Fury for an obscene amount of money. Guess what the UFC said? No. Oh, no contract. We're good here. We're done. That was the sticking issue. That was one of the major sticking issues. Yeah. You're never going to hear him say it, but that was it right there.
Yeah, it's strange that Dana White wouldn't want this, because look at how much money he and Conor made when Conor went and fought Mayweather. It was a big coup. It got more people talking about mixed martial arts than the UFC champion. Most boxing people, traditional boxing people, hey, MMA, forget that. All of a sudden, we had our guy against your guy. This was huge. It became one of the biggest fight cards in the history. If you're going to fight Tyson Fury against Francis Ngannou, why not get a piece of the action? Let him go in and have a boxing match, and then let him come back and fight as your UFC champion. It was very strange that they couldn't come to that agreement. And you're right. He controls the narrative, and he says what he says. He's afraid to fight the greatest of all time, John Jones. He's, it's all about the money for him, And no, you're 100% accurate with your assessment of how it went down. And I'm looking forward to hearing Francis's side and see everything that shakes out in the wash. But it's too bad. Dana White said the only other heavyweight champion that he was never able to get a contract done with that he tried to was Fedor Emelianenko. This is only the second time in his history that he wanted a heavyweight champion to come and sign a contract and was unable to. So, yeah, good on Francis. I hope he makes a huge amount of money. I hope he goes to another one of those MMA organizations and brings up the level of it. PFL is doing really good things. We've talked about them in the last couple of weeks. Bellator, he could go there and fight a lot of the top guys that are there and have a great career, probably make just as much or more money in those organizations. But if he does fight Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, goes into the heavyweight title boxing realm, we're talking way, way, way more money than he can make in MMA.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're talking, like, how about this? If he was confident to say, I'm going to walk away from this, that means his people are working on something else. Okay? That's what I'm confident in saying too as well. And I think he would have to be an utter idiot to not go after the possibility of making anywhere between 30 to 50 million off of one boxing match. Like, I'm sorry. Like, Dana White can say whatever the heck he wants, but that's not smart business to give up that much money that could possibly be on the table. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I think the likelihood of it happening is a lot more than what people are giving it credit.
Yep. I would pay to see it, and most people would. So, I hope they make it happen, and it will be, it'll be great. Hopefully he can get back 100% healed his knee injury, and we can put something together. This could be one of the biggest heavyweight matchups in the history of combat sports. And I would love to see it be really great. Another fight that just got booked. How do you feel about the John Jones Cyril Gane for the belt in March? Do you think John Jones not fighting for this long it'll affect him very much, or he'll come back and be as dominant as he always has been?
Well, he just signed a new 8-fight contract with the UFC, number one, which I think that actually does make him the highest paid heavyweight in the heavyweight division. It would have been Ngannou, but now it's John Jones. So apparently we're going to see him fight now for a while. So I'm excited for it. I think this was the fight that they had to make for the belt if they couldn't sign Ngannou. So they probably had this literally prepared way before all the contract negotiations, everything else. They probably were like, okay, well, how is this going to look if this guy walks away? Because I think Dana White was very much aware that the possibility definitely existed, and now it's happened. So, I think this is the best they could have done. And I think this is going to be a very exciting match because we haven't seen John Jones been away from the sport for this long, and now step into the ring against the highest caliber of opponents. Because Gane is tricky, because what he does is he gets you to fight at his cadence, his speed, his rhythm. And it's very hard to break out of that. I'm curious to see how John Jones deals with that. I'm curious to see how he deals with all of a sudden just jumping into the octagon with a 5-round fight. How's his cardio going to be? There's going to be a lot of question marks. So, yeah, all right, cool. Let's see it go down, man. Let's see it happen.
Yeah, I think it'll be it should be a great fight. That rust that he probably will have. First fight at heavyweight too. Suddenly you're dealing with a whole bigger guy. You're dealing with a bigger body yourself that you're not quite used to. I think it's going to be hell of a challenge for Jones. And Gane is the man. Supposedly waiting in the wings is Stipe Miocic. Will fight the champion of whoever wins, and we'll see it together. I was disappointed that it was going to be in Vegas because I'm kind of concerned that John Jones will get himself into trouble again in Vegas and not be able to actually fight. I don't trust him to stay out of trouble. Hopefully his camp sort of locks him down somewhere and keeps him out of shit. But how many times has he got in trouble in Vegas? And they should have made it somewhere far away from all the distractions and trouble that he can get himself into.
I got it. Maybe what they've done is they've created an underground bunker system for him to train. So he doesn't see the light of day until he's allowed out. It's like, now you can go fight. Go out there and win. But they keep him locked down for like 2 months.
That would make for a good Rocky episode, wouldn't it? A good Rocky movie, training in a bunker. We got the Eye of the Tiger going, and we're seeing Jones get ready for his battle. Yeah, that would be super awesome. Yeah. The other fight that got announced over the weekend was that the trilogy fight between Leon Rocky Edwards and Kamaru Usman that is booked for London, UFC 286 in March. We know that Kamaru Usman was close to beating Leon Rocky Edwards back in August, and suddenly Rocky landed the shot that took him down and knocked him out and got the belt. This will be cool to see them finally get this rubber match, and especially in front of Rocky's home crowd in London. This will be cool. I can't wait. Not too far in the future into March.
No, it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a fantastic fight. Now Edwards has the confidence to know that he can beat Usman, but Usman also too has the confidence to know that I made a mistake, kind of. Or you could argue that Edwards created an opportunity to take him down. So it's one or the other, but either way, I'm looking forward to this fight. I think it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a raucous crowd. And I'm sure, I'm going to throw this out there. So I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I'm sure he's going to get his boy, Paddy Pimblett, Paddy the Baddy, is going to be on that card for sure. Guaranteed. I guarantee it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, that probably is the case. I do see some of the fights on this card. Rafael Fiziev against Justin Gaethje will be fun. Roman Dolidze, Marvin Vettori, Gunnar Nelson against D-Rod, Daniel Rodriguez. We've got Joanne Calderwood, Malcolm Gordon's fighting on there. Jai Herbert, Ludovic Klein, Nathaniel Wood, Leron Murphy. Yeah, a lot of good fights that are so far on that. But I'm sure, we're going to see Pimblett there. They love putting him in front. Okay, and we're into the week of UFC 283 from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. We've got Glover Teixeira and Jamal Hill for the light heavyweight championship of the world. Man, I'm super pumped for this fight. I love the matchup.
That matchup's fantastic. I think we're going to be more entertained than the other light heavyweight contests that we had for the belt. Yeah. I think this is going to be a more entertaining fight, which is kind of why they made the fight. And it's against two fighters of very differing styles. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm super happy for Glover. He turned down that last fight, and you never knew what was going to happen at his age. Was he going to get another shot? Was able to get a shot pretty quickly, and I'm happy he gets to fight in front of his hometown fans, and it'll be great. The I don't know what you call it. The fourth fight between Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno, we call trilogy. I don't know what you call the fourth fight, because we never have it happen. This will be great. This will be just guys throwing lots of transitions, amazing amount of fights. These guys know each other so well. I don't know what you can bring different, but man, I haven't looked forward to a fight like this in quite a while.
I think this is going to be the fight of the night. Out of all the fights that can happen on this card, it's going to be the fight of the night. And I think the difference is going to be absolutely heart, guts, will. Because they've seen everything else that the other man has to throw at them. I think that's going to be the deciding factor. These guys are just going to come after each other and, try to take each other's heads off for 5 rounds straight. It's going to be awesome.
Another belt on the line for the flyweight champion. So many Brazilians on this card. Gilbert Burns fighting Neil Magny. We've got Jessica Andrade taking on Lauren Murphy. I love I love seeing Paul Craig against Johnny Walker, another Brazilian. All Brazilians throughout. We get to see Shogun Rua fighting Ilior Pretoria. We get another Brazilian, Gregory Rodriguez. On and on and on. Man, this is going to be a heck of a great card.
Yeah, it's going to be a great card. Again, you and me both agree. Love watching Paul Craig. Johnny Walker, got to do the right thing. Don't go to the ground with that dude. Don't do it. You're going to lose a limb. You'll never get it back. Ever.
I know, yeah. You do not want to have Paul Craig wrap anything around your arm or leg. That's it. No. Yeah, you're in trouble. That guy is crazy good. Yeah, so this was awesome. Great to see Super Wildcard weekend. Awesome NBA. Great to see the UFC back. We're getting to talk about all this crazy matches and man, John Jones finally. Dana White calls him the greatest of all time. So do a lot of people. I'm not sure where I stand there, but if he can win this belt and go on a little bit of a run, yeah, he might be a 2-division champion and starting to take on these huge guys. Colossus division. This could be incredible. 8-fight commitment. That was pretty incredible. I was really surprised to hear Dana say 8-fight contract, but yeah, maybe we'll get to see him more than once every 2-3 years, and maybe he'll fight 2 or 3 times a year now. But yeah, this will be cool for the UFC. I wish Francis Ngannou nothing but the best. He was a great champion. Loved watching him fight in the UFC, and let's hope he gets $100 million in the next couple years and can really set himself up, his family, and most of Africa from where he's from, can really help out there. Yeah, I hope he finds the perfect situation for him.
Yeah, I hope he gets the success that he definitely deserves. And also, too, shows others that there's opportunities other than the UFC out there. Yeah. That there's other opportunities out there. I hope he demonstrates that so that now you have leverage when you have these contract negotiations. Don't just think, I got to take it. No, man, you do not actually have to do that. You have opportunities, you have choices. And I applaud him for saying, you know what? If you're not going to agree to that part of the contract, I'm out. And I love that. I like that. I like the fact that he understands exactly what's at stake. Because, I'm sorry. I understand that Dana White Connor's his boy. That's why he gave him that opportunity and all that sort of stuff. But are you trying to tell me that nobody else deserves that? No one else deserves that. Really? Okay, cool. Right on.
Yeah, no, that does. Yeah, like I said earlier, it doesn't make sense. You'd think that Dana and whoever else would want to jump on board because that was so massive for Connor. But when you're talking about the heavyweight champion of the world, you're talking about the baddest man on the planet. That really, really moves the needle. That is a lot of pay-per-view buys. That is, one of the biggest fights that have ever been held on the planet. And we saw him when Tyson Fury was fighting Deontay Wilder, how massive it was on the planet. It's if he can get it together with Usyk, holy crap, it's going to be bigger than that Conor Mayweather fight. This is a different weight class that everybody goes, whoa, look at these two massive behemoths fighting each other. It brings in people that normally don't watch combat sports, boxing or likewise, and they want to watch it.
Yeah, and also too, it generates money. A lot of money. And you're in the business of making money. So you don't want to do that? You don't want to make money? So yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe it's a measure of control that they need to exercise over their fighters. I have no idea. I don't really get it either. But at the end of the day, I wish Ngannou nothing the best. And I hope he gets one of the biggest, most lucrative contracts that he can possibly get. That's what I wish for him.
And I think PFL is a really legit option for most fighters now. I think, they can make more money. Almost everybody can make more money in the PFL than they can make in the UFC, especially if they can win their division and win that $1 million. They can win money on their purses throughout the year. and then win that prize at the end, $1 million. They have also contracts that aren't part of the season-long tournaments, and they allow those guys to negotiate the contract on their own. And with Jake Paul signing there recently, I think it would be smart for Ngannou to sit down and discuss and see what the options are there. I think him and Jake Paul could probably come together and promote the fight where nobody's ever had more views for a fight. If they could come together with it, it would be pretty historic.
Yeah, it would be absolutely historic. And then since Jake Paul has experience putting together these boxing matches and making money out of it from fighting, like nobody. So the world is his oyster right now, and all he has to do is just figure out how he wants to navigate it. That's about it.
Okay, man. Well, happy Monday. Thanks so much for doing this. I hope you have a great week ahead. And let's keep in touch. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit through the week. And we'll do this a week from tonight.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. You have yourself a great evening.
Okay. Cheers, man. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Okay. Well, another episode down. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, appreciate your support. Speaking of support, appreciate our partners and sponsors. Thanks for your continuing support. And make sure you tune in every Monday. And coming up in March, we're going to do a lot more of these. And you'll see the Complete Sports Media Network just flying. Take care. Enjoy the week ahead. I hope you had a great Martin Luther King Day for all you south of the border, and enjoy the football and UFC ahead. We've got some really, really exciting things happening. So take care of yourself. Love you lots. Bye for now.